diversity, so I'm going to hand over to you, Martin.
Yeah, thank you very much for that introduction. Thank you so much. I think I'll just jump straight to it. You know, as a child, I was immersed in comic books. I loved comic books, I loved animated movies, and I was passionate about it. But it didn't take me too long to realize that a lot of the references I had were one-sided. You know, because most of the coolest characters are new, most of the strongest were of a particular race. You know, and the characters who looked like me, characters who sounded like me, were sometimes very poorly represented, or even in some situations, just completely misrepresented. You know, I have examples like Tintin and Urbanist and Asteris. Those who have read it know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, it got me bothered, you know, and I knew I had to do something about it. So that was what birthed Epoch Comics. I decided I was going to create a brand of African-centric comic books, and I created Epoch Comics with the mission to retell the African story in an authentic, moral, and wholesome way to the world, and also inspire a new generation to rise above the normal stereotypes and embrace diversity. But of course, that journey was very rigorous. You know, there was a lot of pains involved. First of all, I grew up in Nigeria. I only came to the UK last year, and the environment was not very encouraging. And there came times when I asked myself, dude, why don't you just give this up? But something in me wouldn't. I kept on. You know, I pursued it with I gave it everything I got until I started seeing the rewards. Along the line, I started getting calls for collaboration, calls for partnerships. I started getting recognition for the brand, and of course, I started winning awards. You know, I have 9 awards now and counting. Yeah. One of the high points for me was being endorsed by the Arts Council of England, and I got given the Global Talent Visa to move to the UK with my family. So to me, comics had been just a hobby, but I had to look deeper. I had to realize that there could be something more, you know. So I searched deep within, and I decided that I was going to reposition the Epoch Comics brand, you know, to be known for something. So I thought, what was I going to do? And it occurred to me that Africans are big on the supernatural. So I decided to position Epoch Comics as a comic brand that pushes the supernatural. So we dwelt on African mythology, we dwelt on folklore, we dwelt on African culture, we dwelt on magic, spirituality and faith. And it paid off because engagement increased, and brands and individuals, you know, it caught their attention, and they wanted to partner with Epoch, you know, for something, for different projects. So that led me to the point where I entered a very collaborative phase, you know, in my Epoch Comics journey. And it also led me to get into what I now call comics for a course. And I'm going to show us 4 examples of projects I was involved in that best exhibit this part. The first one is a period comic. This was a comic that taught young pre-teen girls everything about periods, about period poverty, about puberty. And it was presented in such a fun way that it not only engaged that audience, but drew them into the comic book world, which usually seems to be dominated by males. You know? And this comic today is a bestseller on Amazon, and it has sold 5,000. The second one is Irradiance, and I was contacted by an NGO to partner with them on this project. And this one, the company, the organization, they cater for matters of disabled people, particularly young people, particularly children. And in this comic, the heroes are the disabled children, and that changed the game, you know. And drew a lot of engagement and removed the stigmatization that usually came with being disabled in certain societies. The third one is Climate Action Heroes. The title speaks for itself. The comic elaborates on environmental awareness, green energy, alternative sources of energy, pollution, recycling, and all that. And each character was an expert in different fields concerning the environment. The last example is actually a more commercial example, where I worked with a bank in Nigeria, Fidelity Bank, one of the mainstream banks in Nigeria, and they wanted to push this character. It's actually their chatbot. That's the virtual assistant. You know, they gave her a face, they gave her a personable character, and got her to be able to drive engagement with a younger audience. So the bank was able to bring on board a younger demography of customers from university students and even young professionals. And they did a lot for the brand. So I'm encouraging everyone here, consider comic books for pushing your ideas, for pushing your courses, for pushing your brands forward. And in conclusion, this is Dinta, one of the latest titles that I'm about to release from April Comics. And I believe that in each of us, you know, there is some merit in our dreams. There is some merit in our visions. And if we look deep within, we'll see that there is a tie with purpose, strong tie with purpose, with whatever we're doing. And so just like Dinta, who is a hunter, Dinta means hunter in Igbo. Igbo is one of the major languages in Nigeria. And Dinta would go into the deep forest and follow trails, you know, to get game. I see everybody here as following the trail. Everybody who has come to listen to us, follow the trail. Everybody who has stood here to present tonight is following a trail. You know? And this trail we're on tonight is called People Like Us. And we're certain that we're onto something big. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Fantastic, fantastic.